Good evening and welcome to TBC News. Our top stories tonight. Raila Odinga, the man who shaped Kenya politics and politicians.
Just to quote the words of my president, is a one of a kind in a generation.
Tanzania, Italy keen to deepen cultural economic ties.
Both peoples, actually, both Tanzania and Italy, we cherish a lot of peace. The Italian constitution clearly rejects war.
Good evening, I'm Agnes Tuniga. You can also follow us live our YouTube channel on TBC Online and also get all the latest news through our Instagram, Facebook and Twitter pages at TBC Online. The presidential candidate for Chama cha Mapinduzi, CCM, Samia Suluhu Hassan, has promised the people of Rufiji District that upon her re-election, her government will implement the 245 billion shillings flood prevention project in the Rufiji River Basin, which will give the much-demanded relief to the people of the area. Speaking during a campaign rally in Pwani region, Samia insists that the contractor for the project has already been identified and he is ready to start the implementation anytime soon.
La pili ni ujenzi wa zuio la mafuriko.
The second issue is the construction of a flood barrier. If you give us the mandate, we will build the flood barrier. The contractor has already been identified. The project cost is 245 billion shillings.
In the CCM, presidential candidate met the CCM supporters and the residents of the area, insisting on her party's manifesto and her party's readiness to implement all the outlined plans.
Ya kuifanya kwa miaka mitano ijayo.
CCM has prepared a work plan for the next 5 years. And for this coast region, we have included that plan in those small booklets. Inside, there are all the things we will do in this coast region and in Kibiti district over the next 5 years.
Samia Suluhu Hassan continues with her campaigns tomorrow, and she is expected to start the campaigns in Dar es Salaam. The AAFP presidential candidate Kunje Ngombale Mwiru says if his party will be elected in the next general elections, will build a modern international market at Sanane Market located in Nyakato Ward, Musoma Municipality, Mara Region. Kunje Ngombale Mwiru insists that the Sanane Market is among the markets that are mostly visited by for various services, and that his party is keen to transform the market into an international one. He adds that traders need a better and friendlier environment to do their businesses, and his party will work on those demands.
When I become president, I will demolish the entire market and compensate the people. I must build a modern, multi-story market. My government will not collect 200 shillings every day. The CCM government has failed to improve this market. And Nyerere came from this place, but they have failed to honor him. Citizens from Kenya and Uganda will come here to buy products.
As thousands of Kenyans and dignitaries from across Africa attended the funeral of Kenyan opposition leader and political icon Raila Odinga yesterday, the Kenyan High Commissioner to Tanzania, Ambassador Isaac Njenga, says he personally remembers Raila Amolo Odinga as a symbol of humility, an exceptional storyteller, and a man of brilliant and curious mind whose words carried the weight of history and hope for people's rights and good governance. He made the remarks in an exclusive interview with my colleague Caroline Maleo in Dar es Salaam, where he further emphasized that Odinga's legacy transcends politics, leaving an indelible mark on Africa's journey towards democracy and unity.
Caroline, honestly speaking, Raila is a man, just to quote the words of my president, is a one of a kind in a generation. The kind of command that he has had in the political space and leadership of the country from the time he got involved in politics several decades ago, no other politician has matched it. So the person maybe who may come closer to it would be President Daniel Arap Moi, and of course our current president. But not many leaders have matched the kind of support and voice that he has had. Raila has been relevant in our politics, irrespective of the administration. You cannot ignore him. People say sometimes you can hate him, you can hate a person, you can love a person, you can hate a person, but there's a person that you cannot ignore. And Raila was such a person. He's one of a kind. It would be difficult to follow that act. When I've been ambassador here in Tanzania, and he would visit quite a lot. I mean, even this year alone, I think he has visited here about 3 or 4 times, which is a lot. Just quite recently, 2 months ago, I was with him when he was attending a wedding, and surprised me again. Whose wedding was it, I asked? And he said, the young man who is marrying, his father was my friend. So this is like a son to me. So I was very impressed. So he came in, we spent a lot of time with him as he was preparing to go to the wedding. He went to the wedding, he had asked me to join him. I was not able to because of another engagement. I met him again to see him off the following day. We talked about the wedding. A very easygoing personality, very easy. We laughed. Every time you met Raila always had a story. And Raila was an excellent storyteller, excellent, and a brilliant person. Another close encounter we had with him, he came to Zanzibar when he was beginning his quest to run for chairmanship of AU. And the then Minister of Foreign Affairs, Makamba, he was a co-chair, gave him an opportunity to come and address the Ministers of Foreign Affairs and East African Affairs who were there. And so when we were talking with him, as my role as ambassador, I'm briefing him on about a few things. And there's something I said, and he said, okay, that one I didn't get. My people had not mentioned that to me. Please go over it again. So I mentioned something to him. But what surprised me, when we got into the meeting room, he did it better than I'd even told him. Brilliant mind. He weaved a story around what I was telling him. He was hearing it for the first time. Less than a few minutes before we go in, and then the program was changed. We were supposed to present in the afternoon, and this was morning hours. So the program changed and says, we have a slot right now, come and present. So in a short while, we went in. And brilliantly weaved it. When I came out, I told one of my leaders who had come from Nairobi that, I'm amazed. I just gave him this information this morning. Another thing that Raila was good at, Raila was good in retaining and maintaining friendships. He would reach out to different people. He had time to reach out to different people. I mean, when you were with him, he was an ordinary person, reaching out. And people have said these things quite a lot, that Raila would be at ease with heads of states, presidents. We know he was like one of them. At ease with global leaders, the same way he would be at ease with the people that you didn't think he had a relationship with.
Meanwhile, President William Ruto earlier today led the nation in commemorating Mashujaa Day with a heartfelt tribute to the late former Prime Minister, the late Raila Odinga. Mashujaa Day, or Heroes Day in Kenya, is marked annually on October 20th. It is dedicated to honoring all Kenyans who have contributed to country's struggle for independence and positively impacted its development since. The Italian ambassador to Tanzania, Giuseppe Coppola, says that beyond the strong diplomatic ties between Tanzania and Italy, the two nations are also connected by deep cultural and social ties. He asserts that both countries share a firm commitment to maintaining peace and passionate love for sports and a strong sense of family values. Speaking in an exclusive interview with my colleague Faida Ngaga, Ambassador Coppola adds that these shared values continue to strengthen the friendship between the people of Italy and Tanzania, laying a solid foundation for further cooperation in culture, education, sports, and diplomacy.
Both peoples, actually, both Tanzania and Italy, we cherish a lot of peace. The Italian constitution clearly rejects war as a way to solve problems and solve international problems. So I think that being Tanzania maybe one of the most peaceful countries in Africa since independence, I think that peace is a very deeply rooted principle and objective in the Tanzanian people, and we see that also, of course, a lot in Italy. And I think that's a very, very important element that sometimes we take for granted, but we should never take for granted, as we can see in many parts of the world, in Ukraine, with the Russian aggression to Ukraine and in the Middle East. So peace, I think it's a very, very important element that we share. Talking about other aspects, I think there is a lot in common with football. we are deeply involved in and passionate with football, and I see also this in Tanzania. Many countries, of course, are in love with football, but in Tanzania I see a lot, as in Italy. So I think there is a lot to share there. I think also the family, the importance of the family and close connections within the family. I think that's also something that we share, because family is also, as in Tanzania, very important in Italy and Tanzania, with a very strong role also for women, for the mamas in Tanzania, I think. And but I also think that we share the love and attention for the natural heritage.
Following reports that U.S. President Donald Trump urging Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to agree to Russia's terms to bring an end to the conflict between the two nations. Later, U.S. President Donald Trump insists he supports freezing the war between Russia and Ukraine at the current front lines, and denied that he called on Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to cede all territories of Donetsk Oblast. Experts suggest that Ukraine, together with its Western allies, must take decisive steps to strengthen its political and military influence to achieve a balance of power in negotiations. They are also advised to establish a long-term strategy to bring a lasting end to the conflict. TBC News has spoken with international diplomacy and political analyst Lugete Musa Lugete on the issue.
Between Russia and Ukraine, it's unfair competition simply because Ukraine is too weak to compete with Russia, and Ukraine has lost the strategic area because of the Russian military capability. Therefore, in negotiation skills or in the table of negotiation, Russia will press some sort of dictum against Ukraine simply because Russia has the most strategic point of view to defeat Ukraine. Therefore, the United Nations, the European Union, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, and the US should seek reconciliation with Russia in order to make peace for the people and interest of the people of Ukraine. Ukraine has been weak since 1991, when Ukraine succeeded to separate herself from the Soviet Union. Ukraine is an ally and the pawn, we can say, the pawn or a puppet of the Western European power. The Western European power, like US, British, France, the European Union, and other powers, they use Ukraine to spy Russia. That's why Russia decided to invade Ukraine in order to avoid the Western intervention through the Baltic Sea and the Black Sea. Therefore, Ukraine can never survive and shall never survive without the aid of the Western European powers. Therefore, in order to ensure peace and tranquility in Ukraine, there should be a negotiation vested on 50-50 interest between the Russian interest, the Western European interest, the NATO, and the US interest. But Ukraine herself cannot survive without the aid of the Western power. That's why Russia keep pressurizing Ukraine to surrender.
As Tanzania approaches the upcoming general election, concerns over the spread of misinformation and disinformation persist. With the vast use of digital platforms and social media, where every citizen can send and receive information, the spread of false information poses a serious threat to democracy, peace, and national security. Esther Dales reports.
In a season where every post and share could influence public opinion, Tanzania's digital space has become a fierce battleground for information control. The digital age has revolutionized the way information is disseminated, where that digital freedom has come with a new threat: fake news, misinformation, and disinformation. But the Tanzania Communications Regulatory Authority, TCRA, still plays a crucial role in ensuring that the communication space remains safe, reliable, and fair during this critical period.
Actually, what is the most important is to make sure that misinformation and disinformation are properly observed with proper care. You know, for example, misinformation is when the media person or media outlet disseminates information that is not correct without knowing that it's a false information, while disinformation is based on propaganda, you know, political rhetorics. Those pronouncements, political rhetorics, those pronouncements that are crafted carefully to make sure that they mislead the people to make wrong decisions.
But beyond official policy, ordinary citizens share how they daily battle scrolling through rumors, political propaganda, and misleading content on social media.
About the issue of internet, I avoid it very much because of unverified information that are constantly sent. I don't really make so much follow-up. I am a person who, when I come across something that is not correct, I ignore it.
For example, if I see information is not correct, I make sure I don't look at one only media. I will maybe check Louds TV, ITV, so that I get certainty, because someone can give you information and spread it to someone else. And it may not be true, and may have misled you in one way or another.
With the public trust still leaning towards mainstream media, TCRA is calling on journalists and media houses to uphold professionalism and avoid spreading unverified information, especially during this critical period as we head towards the ballot.
So a media house has to be careful in making sure that the information it disseminates to the public is correct, well-balanced, and accurate to make sure that it benefits the public.
As we head towards the general election, the fight against misinformation and disinformation remains critical, but key efforts from the citizen and the media in safeguarding democracy remains key. Esther Deus, TBC News.
A delegation of 48 Mama Samia mentorship specialized doctors has begun a 5-day medical camp in the Kagera region, where they will provide medical services in all 8 councils of the region. The team leader of the delegation from the Ministry of Health, Dr. Patrick Kushoka, says that there are medical doctors of various cadres who, apart from providing services to the public, they will share their experiences with healthcare providers at council level. Here's the report by Reginald Nesika, read by Faith Ngaga.
The team of medical doctors who are on their 4th visit to the Kagera region urged Kagera residents to maximize on the rare opportunity to receive the specialized doctors at the council level. As we know, specialist doctors are found in only a few hospitals. Therefore, people will have the opportunity to meet them wherever they are.
We are here to bring services closer to them and to eliminate the difficulties they used to face, especially for those coming from distant areas.
The doctors, before being assigned to various councils, met at the Kagera Regional Commissioner Office to be briefed on procedures, where the Regional Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Samuel Relizer, says the arrival of the doctors will help to improve medical services and reduce costs for the citizens.
Ever since we started this exercise, more than 6,223 citizens have received treatment, and others have been referred to other hospitals for further treatment. For those special cases, you have been able to treat those patients, and it has been good services.
The doctor's team leader from the Ministry of Health, Dr. Patrick Kushoka, says the services that will be provided for 5 days, which will include advanced surgery, urinary system, diseases for men, gynecological and obstetric diseases, children's diseases, and sleep and safe anesthesia services.
We have specialist doctors and highly skilled nurses in various fields. We have those in internal medicine, as well as specialists in obstetrics and gynecology. Therefore, we will ensure that we reach people across all our councils. We welcome the public to our mentioned district hospitals.
And in Beyond the Ballot tonight, we take a look at the political history of the presidential candidate for Alliance for Democratic Change, Hamad Rashid.
Zanzibar, the island of cloves, a home to beach tourism and history. The prosperity of this island that attracts tourists from various parts of the world is said to be driven by the peace that comes from the presence of clean politics. Zanzibari citizens are going to vote in the general elections on October 29th. Hamad Rashid Mohammed, born on March 1st, 1950, is among the 11 candidates vying for the presidency on the island.
My political journey began in 1959 when I was 9 years old. When the ASP was founded in 1957, my father was one of its founders. I remember I used to go to the party offices after school, where my father was recruiting members. That's when I started to understand politics.
This election will be Hamad Rashid Mohammed's third run for presidency. He did so in 2015 and 2020. His main priority is the issue of nutrition for the people.
Despite all the efforts the government is making, nutrition is still a challenge. Due to my experience since the first phase, when I was able to serve in the prisons until they became self-reliant, I can help the people of Zanzibar to reduce the importation of food.
He emphasizes the importance of respecting national values.
Most importantly, peace and stability are our greatest weapons. Our unit, union, and togetherness are our strength. Let us use this opportunity to continue developing Zanzibar and Tanzania as well.
This is Hamad Rashid Mohammed, the Zanzibari presidential candidate through the ADC party, who is throwing his third card in the presidential race. Faiva Ngaga, TBC News.
Hatua at 2025.
Before we wind up our local news tonight, let us now have a look at our today's exchange rates according to the Bank of Tanzania, BOT. Don't miss TBC News every weekday to know all the latest in exchange rates. Sports news up next. Tanzania Football Federation TFF Communications Officer Clifford Ndimbo calls on football fans to come out in large numbers to support the Tanzania women's national team Twiga Stars as they face Ethiopia in the first qualifying match for the Africa's Women's Cup of Nations WAFCON 2026. The match will be played at the Azam Complex Chamazi on Wednesday. Ndimbo insists that the match is key for the Twiga Stars to win so as to secure a good position for qualifying for the tournament.
Tuko nyumbani, mtaji wetu wa nyumbani ni mashabiki. Kwa hivyo
we play in our home ground. We want fans to support the team, to give morale for players. We want to play the next WAFCON 2026. It will be a free match for everyone. So we aim to continue to develop women football in our country.
WAFCON ya 2026.
The teams will play the second leg in Ethiopia on October 28th. If the Twiga Stars emerge victorious in these two matches, they will secure their ticket to the WAFCON 2026 finals, which are scheduled to be held in Morocco. Other WAFCON qualifying matches to be played on 22nd of October 2025 include Namibia, which will take on Zambia. DR Congo plays against South Africa. And on 23rd October 2025, Angola will welcome Malawi. Egypt will play against Ghana, and Algeria will face Cameroon. Tanzania prison striker Henry Onyongo believes that their derby match against Mbeya City will be very entertaining due to the excellent tactics and the intense rivalry between the two teams. Speaking to TBC News after a morning session training held at KMC Complex in Dar es Salaam, Onyongo adds that the match will be tough to the both teams, but they are well prepared to silence their opponents, Mbeya City, by beating them and taking home all 3 points.
We are ready. Last season we didn't perform well because of some challenges, but this season we are ready. The management has supported as well. We are ready for the task. It's a hard match, but tomorrow we know we are going to get the 3 points.
Tanzanian Prisons and Mbeya City will face each other at KMC Complex Mwenge, Dar es Salaam tomorrow after their home ground Sokoine Stadium being closed due to poor playing pitch, and Mbeya City picked KMC Complex Mwenge as their home ground. That is sports news, and now before we conclude the news bulletin for tonight, let's take a look at our weather update for the next 24 hours.
Hello viewers, this is Amina Saleh from Tanzania Meteorological Authority. Welcome to 24 weather forecasting starting from tonight. The wind is expected to flow at the speed of 30 km per hour over the entire coast, and the state of the sea is expected to be moderate. Over the Lake Victoria and Lake Nyasa, the wind is expected to flow at the speed of 30 km per hour. The state of the lakes are expected to be moderate. Over the Lake Rukwa, the wind is expected to flow at the speed of 20 km per hour, and the state of the lake is expected to be slight. Over the Lake Tanganyika, the wind is expected to flow at the speed of 20 to 30 km per hour, and the state of the lake is expected to be slight to moderate. Part of Lake Victoria Basin, which include Kagera and Geita, are expected to feature partly cloudy condition, thunderstorms over a few areas, and sun period. Over the entire coast and Morogoro region are expected to feature partly cloudy condition, light rain showers over a few areas, and sun period. And the rest of the country are expected to feature partly cloudy conditions. And the maximum temperature are expected to be, as you can see over the screen, and the maximum temperature is expected to be 35 over Katavi region. Now let's have a look at 4 days weather forecasting. Dar es Salaam, maximum temperature is expected to be 32. Dodoma, dry condition with a minimum temperature of 18 are expected. Mbeya, mainly dry condition with a minimum temperature of 12 are expected. Mwanza, thunder showers are expected. Kilimanjaro, maximum temperature of 33 are expected. Morogoro, minimum temperature of 19 are expected.